In a world hungry for change, nonprofit impact matters more than ever. Yet, you're asked to do more with less. What if you could do more with more? That's the promise of Bloomerang, the giving platform built for purpose. Fundraising, CRM, and volunteer insights are integrated to reveal opportunity and generosity so you can make more connections with more funds raised for more impact. Now, that's more like it. Learn how you can do more with more at bloomerang.com. Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. So you've wrapped up a big push. You're coming up from the fog and the frantic feeling of GivingTuesday or a previous November fundraiser. Maybe you're even feeling that dread that I know is really, really common and prevalent and normal that you feel in December. And you're not sure what to do next. You know you've got more fundraising to do, another appeal to send, another campaign to push out. Your inbox is full, your energy is low, everyone wants something, and the little voice in your head says, everyone who is going to give already gave. I should just stop. I'm so tired. This is enough. That's the campaign hangover. And that's what we're dealing with today. What to do when you're feeling that physical and mental exhaustion, but let's be honest, you still need to raise more. So if that's you, you're not alone. And I'm going to give you the tools to rise to the occasion because it is our Super Bowl season. It is December. Now is the time. So everyone's version of this hangover, this crash may be a little different. It might look like avoidance. It might look like physical exhaustion. It might look like burnout. It might look like distracting yourself. Maybe you're finding yourself scrolling on TikTok or Instagram more than you would. Maybe it's, I just want to hide under the covers and Netflix and chill. But you got donors to call, texts to send, emails to follow up on. It might be the reluctance to ask again. It might be reluctance to follow up on those texts, those phone calls, those conversations. That fear that you're pushing too hard, doing too much, asking too much. This isn't a personal weakness. It's a predictable phase of launching. And I can say this with absolute certainty because running any sort of campaign, which is everything that I've described is an element of a fundraising campaign, is actually very similar to the work that I do. So my business is one-to-many. So I have two primary programs, one for small emerging organizations and solo shop nonprofits called the Sprint Method, and one for larger, more established teams who are scaling up called the Purpose and Profit Club. Both of those require me to launch publicly. Even my email course, same thing. And I know what it's like to have that sprint feeling where it's like, all right, buckle up, here we go. And when the campaign closes, when my launch closes, I know these feelings. I literally have dealt with a campaign hangover myself. And so everything that I'm teaching you today is something that I've had a flavor of, have supported my clients through a flavor through. And also I just want to normalize it's part of the deal. If you run a sprint, if you run a 5K, if you go and physically push yourself, it's normal to feel sore the next day, right? It's normal to feel like a little hungrier the next day, a little more depleted, like you just need a little rest. So we're going to talk about the rest. We're going to talk about the refresh as well. So November and December are truly the heaviest fundraising months of the year. For most of my clients, that rings true. For many organizations, we see 30 to 40% of annual revenue coming in this 2-month window. That is real. So this fatigue and also this excitement, let's talk about that. The dopamine response when you get that $50,000 check, when you hit that $5,000 goal, or whatever the number is, that is also part of this mix because your brain is like, this feels amazing. This feels amazing. And then when you don't get it the next day or the next week, you actually feel even that depletion in that dopamine response. So all of that is normal. So year-end fundraising is heavy because it was designed to be heavy. It's not a sign that anything has gone wrong. So again, if you feel that fullness in your calendar, that fullness in maybe pressure, that is part of the deal. But we're going to level that out today. So last year, giving in the United States reached more than $590 billion. This was the first inflation positive year since 2020. So that means that people are still giving. They're giving generously. Generosity isn't shrinking. We are not in a decline. The sector, though, commonly teaches you on this old operating system, traditional old school fundraising. So it teaches fundraisers to treat year end like a marathon with no breaks. And that's why burnout's so common. That's why the stress cycle is so common. You run September, you run Giving Tuesday, you run December, you push. No trained athlete pushes like this, right? Runs 26 miles at full speed without breaks. You actually watch, if you've watched these like long distance races, there is a strategy to them. Even seasoned athletes slow down. Think about it. They like stretch before they start. A longer distance race, what do? They will literally go from a run to a jog. They'll pull over, they'll hydrate. I've even seen what marathon was recently? Was it the New York Marathon that was recent? Yeah, like pull over, get a cheer, connect with their family, the people holding the signs. That rest, that recovery period is part of it. So without that structure, you crash. And fundraising should work the same way. So that's why I created this concept of sprint campaigns, because I believe that fundraising shouldn't look like a constant, frantic state of running as fast as you can. I actually believe that your campaigns should be sprints where for a short period of time, you are giving it your all. And then what do? You rest, you recover, you take a walk, you stretch, you recuperate. And then what do you do again? You sprint. Okay. And every sprint campaign has a different goal attached to it. And that is a conversation for another day, another strategy for another day. But we can, for the sake of this conversation, you can think of Giving Tuesday as like a single sprint. So without those sprints built inside your marathon, you do lose that momentum and you do tire out. And most nonprofits are symptomatic of this primarily in year end. They think and operate in global fundraiser mode, right? Where you're just like, I just need to raise X number of money just in general, right? Everything is vaguely named year end. Everything is vaguely connected. Nothing has that sharp urgency, that sharp connection attached to it. When you don't have a theme, a timeline, a countdown, an anchor point, you feel like you're pushing the same rock up the same hill again and again each day. And that's why the donor conversations feel harder, because you aren't tying the ask to something specific. And that's a huge part of what we teach our clients to do is when you have a clear campaign, a clear sprint, it actually makes the donor conversation so much easier versus when you don't, when you're just in a constant state of like, we just need money, we just need donations. That's like driving without directions. So I want to share a recent client example. So my client had a handful of lapsed donors and major donors that had not yet made their annual gift to call. She knew she had this group of very warm donors and then this group of previously warm donors, the lapsed donors, that she needed to call. And she was struggling with even booking the call and then what to say once the call was booked. And what I realized, she recently joined the club. What I realized is that she didn't actually have a clear campaign in place, right? So once she defined that campaign, everything clicked and the theme gave her purpose. It literally did the heavy lifting. The goal, the theme, the story, she had a clear destination to bring donors towards, to answer the question, why should I give now and not in 6 months? Why should I give now and not next year? You with me? That changed everything. She made those calls and she booked those meetings that week. So a sprint campaign has a beginning, a focus, a close, and a short recovery period. It allows you to create that quick momentum, take a mini break, and then re-engage donors with a fresh angle. It is the antidote to the campaign hangover because you physically, your body, your mental state, you know a rest period is coming, and your donors do too. Your donors aren't like, boy, this organization is just peppering me, hammering me with fundraising appeals. They actually, like, we both are on the same ride together. We both know that this is coming. So the trick here is with sprints, you don't need a long rest. You need a structured cycle. You need a structured cycle. And this is why my clients in both of my programs are moving faster with half that exhaustion, because campaigns have this shape. They have this container to them. And that shape lowers the fatigue, because you can even see in your calendar, rest is coming. Now let's just drill into consumer behavior, because I think this is so important this time of year. Really important. Consumers are donors, donors are consumers. So your holiday shoppers, the people who are shopping at Target, shopping at Nordstrom, shopping at their favorite local bookstore, wherever they're shopping are also your donors. You with me? Same person. Consumers do not buy all of their holiday gifts in one day. Even the most organized Martha Stewart, best intended person who tries to shop, early and get her gift wrap done early, even she has a few impulse buys, right? They shop in rounds. And I would think of all of the different shopping behaviors. I think about my aunt who may have a little bit more of that structured shopping. Then I think about the person who's the last minute guy, like my dad, who's December 24th, right? What do you need? What do you want? I'm at the mall now. I remember that growing up. He's like, what size is she? What does she like? Right. So there's all these different buyer types, but ultimately, even the people who shop early shop again. Why am I telling you this? They grab one thing in November, maybe again in December, maybe again mid-month, maybe something when sales happen. Why? Because donors can behave the same way. One of the misconceptions is that somebody who gave to your October or November campaign is done, dusted, out of here. Christina, I can't ask them again. They're not going to give again. The only thing they're going to be is annoyed. Wrong. We very commonly see people give to your GivingTuesday fundraiser or a year-end campaign. They may give again after Christmas on that same month in the same 30-day period. Why? Why do they give? Because you have a campaign that has that built-in theme, that built-in reason that would propel them to give twice. And even this, we will drill into this more in a future episode, but I want you to think about post-Christmas, post-Hanukkah. You grabbed all of your gifts. You did all your holiday shopping. It was a great time. What happens? What happens that last week of the year? More shopping. Think about a West Elm, an Anthropologie, a Pottery Barn. They don't stop selling. Target. They don't stop selling. They shift their message. Early December, holiday gifting. December 26th through the end of the year, clearance, final sale, new season incoming. Right? I was just telling somebody. So at the time I'm recording this is right before Thanksgiving. And I was just telling somebody oh, I need to get my kids some new coats. And we're in Atlanta, so it doesn't really get cold until really December and January. And they need big winter coat. And I was I always just shop on Black Friday for them because that's when the best deals are, right? And so people have this. I'm not the only one. People do the exact same thing after Christmas. They're I'm going to, buy my blah, blah, blah after Christmas when it's on sale. So it's the same thing. You can shift your message, but you cannot go silent because there are buyers and donors who want to help you. Somebody who gives on GivingTuesday, a one-time gift. Let's say they give $100 to your GivingTuesday campaign. And that campaign was for a very specific story, right? Maybe you're trying to fund 100 spay and neuters for your cat rescue, right? That's a very specific story. Maybe you have a wait list and you have recently a cat colony and you have 100 spay and neuters to do. Okay. So they give $100 to that. That same person may also, this is crazy, but stick with me, opt to become a $25 a month monthly donor year end. Why would they do that? Totally different reason. The reason they gave to the GivingTuesday campaign was a very different reason than the reason they're going to give monthly. They may choose to become a recurring donor because they know that you have 500 cats in your rescue and they want to make sure that you have enough supplies so that those cats get food and clean litter and new toys on a year-round basis. That's a completely different lever you're pulling. So when you have different campaigns run at key points throughout the year, you're pulling those different levers. Now I want to drill into the recovery angle. So before you can sprint and sprint again and sprint again, I want you to just drill in to some ways that you can recover, some physical and some more psychological, emotional ways that you can recover. Number one, give yourself some time off. Figure out what what helps fill your cup. So that can be an afternoon off. That can be, make sure you're calendaring in your time off. All of my clients, I've probably said this 1,000 times to them, but I'm not going to stop saying it. Please schedule out your emails during the holidays. Please schedule out your social posts, because you can be fundraising while you sleep, while you have that time off. And I want you to be. So if it's December 31st, you better have scheduled out your stuff, right? You can schedule that in advance so you can take rest and recover. The second piece, I want you to think about this concept of giving up versus hitting the gas. When you're in sprint mode, when you're in campaign mode and you feel like giving up, I've asked everyone, I'm nagging everyone, I'm just tired, I don't want to annoy everyone. I want you to talk to that part of yourself and say, what if I'm just one action away from a huge win? What if I'm just one action away from a huge breakthrough? I have been in your shoes. I live in your shoes, where it's like so easy to give up. And then I remind myself, am I one email away? Am I one follow-up away? Am I one webinar away from hitting my goal? And the answer is usually yes. So what is one thing I can do now? Not 100. What's one thing I can do now? Think about micro asks. What's one direct micro ask I can make? One person, one outreach I can follow up to. Social street team. This is a huge part of what we teach in the Purpose and Profit Club. Who are the 5 people, micro influencers, ambassadors, people already in our world that can change everything? Social street teams, just 5 of them can outperform your entire list when your energy is low. Your street team can help be doing that heavy lifting for you. So you're not stuck in solo fundraising mode. Your voice doesn't actually have to carry everything. Your voice shouldn't carry everything. You should not be responsible for the success of the entire campaign. That's why I love the concept of a street team, because you're leveraging other people's audiences. This is another good one. Reuse winners. You know that beautiful email or that really awesome video or that amazing high-performing social post you did earlier in the year? Like maybe it happened in March or April. You know you can recycle that, right? Grab that same social post, grab that same email, whatever that content piece is. You can recycle 89% of it. Give me a fresh caption with it. Give me a fresh subject line. Seriously, you can repost this. You can recycle that testimonial. That's efficient, smart, and strategic. Your audience, already responds well to it. So ask yourself, what is a quick way that I can recycle this content piece that will drive traffic towards my goal? And the last piece, I want you to think about what's a 2-minute tweak that can lift conversion without writing anything new. So we spend a lot of time talking about donation pages, because not all donation pages are created equal. You're talking about your fundraiser, you're talking about your year-end campaign, but I want you to think and I want you to evaluate. I want you to look at it. Are people landing on your donation page or form but not really taking action? Do you want to tweak the subject line or the headline? Do you want to tweak the photo or video there? These are all like 2-minute tweaks you can make that can have a huge impact on your conversion without having to do anything brand new and from scratch. So remember that the cost of going silent is big here. It is bigger in December than it is in any other month of the year. And that's the other piece I've been telling a lot of my clients is Q1, January, it's going to be a beautiful time for us to plan. It's going to be a beautiful time for us to go a little quiet, to head down, focus work, do some planning, do some tech. Anyone who is switching CRMs, anyone who's doing any tech improvements, right? That's a really great time for it, Q1. Now is not a great time for head down, going silent. You with me? Because that silent kills momentum. That silence that breaks that priming. That silence reduces December revenue. Retention data shows that small donor segments continue to slip. So you can't afford to go silent now when your audience is already warm. This is the most top of mind your audience you are with your organization. Okay. So when you disappear after a campaign, simply put, you will raise less. And now is not the time to disappear. So remember that recovery period means strategic rest, strategic touches, and not silence. Momentum comes from this consistency, but it doesn't have to be this like hyper intensive feeling through the next 30 days. Our clients avoid this crash because they have these defined campaigns. They know what they're working towards. They're committed to that goal. They know it's inevitable, and they take action towards that goal, and they take time off to refill their cup. So when you're off at the end of the day, be off at the end of the day. Be off at the end of the day. When you're feeling a little funky, like say you wake up on a Tuesday and you're just like, I'm just not feeling it today. I don't want to call anyone. Like you're feeling that way. Listen, again, I am in your shoes. I know this feeling. I've basically 3 tips for that, where you're just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. My first tip is touch grass. Literally go outside, touch grass, touch the earth. If it's cold where you are, then you don't have to take your shoes off. It's warm where you are, literally take your shoes off, feel the sun, touch grass. Can't do that, go for a walk. Like you need to just take, and I mean, if you're like, I don't have time to go for a walk, you have 5 minutes to walk up and down the street. That's all it can take. 5 minutes. That's my first tip. My second tip is you need to, again, physically get out. So go to your favorite coffee shop. If you don't want to work from there, that's fine. I want you to talk to your barista. I want you to go to your favorite bookstore and take 10 minutes and talk to somebody. My point is, I want you to just have a human interaction that has very low stakes. That always snaps me out of it. My third one, if you're like, I cannot leave today, I need to be home, I want you to listen to music and move your body 5 minutes. That's it. Something that makes you feel good. Any song, it could be a throwback, it could be a top 40, I don't care. It could be anything. Move your body, dance, shut the door in your office, wherever you are, and just dance, move your body. All of those things work. They will literally take you out of your own, funky space that you're in. Sometimes I will literally move my hands, move my arms. I'm doing that as I'm recording this right now. And that will literally help me shake off the funky feeling. So all of those things you can do in less than 5 minutes or close to it. If you have to drive to a coffee shop, then maybe a little bit longer, but you get my point. So literally if you wake up in the morning and you say, I don't want to do this, I want you to go, okay, I hear that, but I'm not accepting that today because that's December. It's go time. So we're doing this. So which one of these 3 things do I want to do? 5-minute walk, 5-minute dance-a-thon, shake it off moment, or I want to go talk to somebody. That's it. And pick one. It works every time. So remember, year end is not just about grinding through and pushing harder. It is about pushing smarter. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to shift your message. You're allowed to shift your message. You're allowed to iterate during the campaign. You're allowed to be creative. You're allowed to ask again. If you hear nothing from this, hear that. You're allowed to ask again. Your donors are ready. They are receptive. They want to help. They do not operate in the one and done cycle. The hangover fades when the strategy is sound. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to your donors. You've got this. I'm cheering you on. I'll see you next week. Hey, high achiever. I know your sights are set on ambitious, world-changing goals. In the Purpose and Profit Club group coaching program, you can get the support, motivation, and strategy to accelerate your impact. I like to say it's where the inner work meets big impact and big funding. Go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist and you will be first to be notified when we open up doors, and you'll get special bonuses when you join our waitlist. See you inside.